I'm Anne Mullens Boelter, and Wilbur Hitchcock was my grandfather, my mother's father. Well, first I'd have to say he was an architect, because of he did so much work. He had a very prolific career, even though it was short. Really, in Laramie, he started designing homes first when he was an undergraduate, then became a designer of university buildings too. Wilbur was born in 1886 in Springfield, South Dakota, where his parents had homesteaded. And he came to Laramie in 1908, both to get relief from hay fever and to enter the University of Wyoming, where he graduated in 1912 with a degree in civil engineering. And taught again at the university. He was a professor in civil engineering. He started designing homes in Laramie when he was still an undergraduate, including what was then the president's house, the UW president's house, and homes of several faculty members. Because of his love of architecture, he eventually decided to resign from the university and opened in private practice in 1922 and had an office downtown. He really was a Renaissance man. He loved literature and music and theater. He played the piano, the organ, the clarinet, and he had a wonderful singing voice. And a family man. He was totally devoted to his family and his children. He also loved the outdoors and was always up for picnicking or camping in the snowy range or up on Boulder Ridge were some of his favorite places. He also traveled extensively. He was traveling and studying campus design and building design, and one of his biggest contributions to the university was the master plan in terms of the campus design with Prexy's pasture in the middle that represented Wyoming's open spaces. And then he continued the theme of the sandstone buildings, like Old Main, which was already built when he arrived, the sandstone on Old Main. He continued the pattern in the buildings he designed that were facing Prexy's pasture. So it was kind of been described as the soaring mountains sort of in the sandstone buildings around the open spaces of Prexy's pasture. So that was one of his biggest contributions to the campus. In addition to the design of the campus itself, he designed a number of the buildings on the campus, including what is now the Avon Nelson building. It was the library at the time he designed it. The engineering hall he designed with Frederick Porter from Cheyenne. McWhinney Hall, which was the men's residence hall when he designed it, and prior to that he had consulted with Raymond Hood, a prominent architect in Chicago. Wilbur designed the half-acre gym with William Du Bois of Cheyenne, and he designed the Cooper House, which at the time he designed it was a private home, but the university later purchased it, and it's now the home of American Studies. These are the buildings that are still standing. He had designed other campus buildings earlier that were later removed, smaller ones. Wilbur designed apartment houses, churches, stores, armories, warehouses, banks, gas stations, fish hatchery buildings, barns, and garages. In his personal life, he married Gladys Corthell in 1914. She was a daughter of a pioneer Laramie family. And she shared his love of music and literature and the arts. In 1925, Wilbur designed and had built this second home for his family, this at 262 North 9th, in the style of Tudor Revival. And the exterior is brick and stucco, and the interior has lath and plaster walls with a wonderful texturing and the final finish on the plaster, and beautiful wood floors. The house has steam heat and still has the original radiators. Of course, it broke his heart to lose Gladys, his first wife, and he struggled some after that, but was just delighted when he met Verna Hitchcock, because she shared a lot of his same things that he loved too. So they were a good match too, and that unfortunately didn't last. When Wilbur died in 1930, Eliot, the oldest, was 15 years old. And he may have talked about wanting to become an engineer like his father or an architect, but I don't know for sure that Wilbur knew that. Eliot and Clinton formed the architectural firm called Hitchcock and Hitchcock Architects. Then after the war, after World War II, they got going, formed a very productive firm. I think that the contributions that Wilbur Hitchcock made to the university and to the city of Laramie were enormous, and that his legacy includes not just the buildings and the wonderful homes that still stand and are still appreciated today, but also his contributions to the culture of Laramie in supporting the arts and music and literature and the theater, and lively discussion on issues. He was very interested in everything that happened, and brought that enthusiasm and intellect to Laramie, and really inspired and helped lots of people to contribute themselves to be the best that they could be, and his students and his family.